But no, there's no driver shortage because, okay, so like he did this Wall Street article, which I was in as well a little bit. So Pritika Rana did this Wall Street Journal article saying that Dara actually got behind the wheel and played the undercover boss for I don't know how long, couple weeks, month, whatever. So, and Pritika, if you're watching, much appreciated. Thank you for the mention. Anyway, so he said he figured this out, but then on every earnings call, Jay and Chris, he says, "Oh, we're not shortage of drivers. We have all the supply we need." But now this article comes out. He drove and he figured out that there was a driver shortage. I'm like, no, sir, there was no driver shortage in late 2022 when he drove in September, of 2022. There was one in 2021. Now, I'm just going to say 2 minutes, my piece, and then you guys take this over. So, Dara, sir, I mean, with all due respect, obviously you're the CEO. What took you 5 years to do this experiment? Number one, because if you were watching anything that I say or we say or write, drivers are complaining about certain things. We do our surveys. They complain about earnings. They complain about safety. They complain about unjust deactivations. What took you 5 years to figure this out? Number one, which this to me then makes it look like a puff piece or a PR piece more than anything else. And secondly, he did only 100 trips. I understand 100 trips is nothing. People do that in a week. And one other thing is that, he it's right there in the article. So I'm just going to throw this out, people. You can comment and do whatever you want with it. He used an alias called Dave K. Now, one, that's against the terms of service, Dara. You should have been deactivated. Okay. Two, you shouldn't even be let on the platform, let alone get deactivated, because you cannot use aliases to get on. And how the heck did they make you pass a background check, or did you actually? So these three questions I would have asked if I was the Wall Street Journal reporter. But obviously, it's like give me some, I'll give you some kind of a thing. So look, he figured out there was a shortage of drivers, what the drivers go through, that the passengers are rude. Hopefully nobody threw up in his car, all this good stuff. I mean, it doesn't take much to do this, Dara. But you know what? Ultimately, I'll give you a hand that you did it. And now you kind of feel what we go through on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And he did it without the pressure, because a lot of people, are under pressure to pay the bills, to pay the car note, to pay the mortgage, to pay the rent. Well, Dara made $24 million last year, so I don't think he has that pressure either. So that's my 2 cents about this article. But I think it was well done. Pritika got the, interview, and I wouldn't have passed on it either if I got the interview, to be honest with you. So there you go. What do you think about this, Jay?
Well, so he's definitely not doing it for the money. And yeah, this whole, you keep bringing up the pressure. I mean, I think you either have discipline or you don't, right? You say you're going to work 5 days a week or 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and you do it, right? So if that's pressure, yeah, I guess that's pressure, but I just think of it as that's what I do. That's what I do, whether it's for the money or not. I make a commitment to myself to do something, and then you follow through on it. As far as Dara K goes, yeah, I give him a big hand. A lot of people shit on Dara K. I think he's done a pretty good job. If you remember what Uber was like, when he took over, they had this whole corporate environment that was very misogynist, and they had a lot of issues with the old CEO Travis Kalanick, and it was close. It was like Uber versus Lyft. Now it's like Uber and Lyft is kind of in its wake, and he does stuff like this, going out and driving. I think someone who does 100 rides is going to learn quite a bit about being a driver that they didn't know. Like the uncertainty of did you do a good job? Are you going to get a tip or not? And pulling up and having to wait 5 minutes, for someone to come out to the car, and how frustrating that can be, and the stress of driving in a town, and not getting into an accident. These are all things someone who doesn't drive doesn't ever think about, and it doesn't take too many rides to learn those things. And what he said in this article is that what came out of this is the upfront pricing. So where we can see the time and distance to get to the pickup, and then the time and distance of the trip. And that's where we can get very selective about our rides. That gives us a lot of information that we didn't have before. So if that truly came out of this, that's great, because that's been super helpful to all of us
Yeah.
I question though that because upfront earnings came out before September. I had it in August, and I think it premiered in select markets in like July or something, or late June. So it was well before he actually got behind the wheel. I mean, it could have sped it up in terms of, being able to see that across more cities across or more markets across the country.
Right.
And then even in California, how we were talking with the 5-10 rule, where you have to accept 5 out of the 10 to see that upfront. And then it brought it to, different markets like LA and San Francisco and a couple other ones. Well, the rest of California still has that 5-10 rule, but maybe that helped it. But yeah, I don't think this was upfront earnings entirely because he was driving and saw that, because again, the timing isn't there.
So I'm seeing in the comments, there is no love for Dara K. He is the devil. What, but look, incarnate here.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's okay. Look, if you look at the two separate companies, Uber and Lyft, right? Where Lyft is and where Uber is, and their management teams, clearly Dara is superior to the boys that just left. I mean, clearly, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy is a master salesman. He is always positive. He's always like uplifting, and he, even in the middle of the pandemic, you would listen to his interviews, you wouldn't even think there would be a pandemic. He'd be like, everything is great. Everything is wonderful.
And he's aggressive. He's just a natural builder.
Yeah.
He's he's looking for new markets. He's looking for new stuff. He's always on TV as much as he can. He's talking to Harry. I mean, he's just, all in, right? He's all in. And you don't get that same kind of energy from Lyft. At least
but I think, you know what, though? I think one thing he cannot fix about rideshare or delivery, okay? What would you say to this? Like, do you think both these companies or all the gig companies, we're a gig channel now, we're a gig economy channel, we're not a rideshare channel anymore. So, all these companies, which I know you don't do deliveries, which is completely different, outside your expertise, let's say, but they have a horrible perception, Jay. Why do you think they have a horrible perception? Like, I know you don't read comments, but I do, and I respond, and I think, it engages people on our videos and whatever. I don't respond to 50,000 comments, but I try to do as much as I can. Honestly, if I put like a percentage on it, it'll be like 99% negative.
What does anybody love 100%? I mean, this is a job. This is an opportunity to make money.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, don't do it. Right. If it's not going to pay you enough, don't complain about it. Go find something else to do. Yeah. That's kind of my attitude at this point. Right. It could be better. Yeah, it's not as good as when I started, and that wasn't as good as it was 4 years before that. They used to get paid 90% of really fat fares, when this thing came out. I didn't get that, and now the time me and Sergio started, that's the glory, that's the glory time, compared to where we are now.
Yeah.
But I'm still can make $30 an hour in frickin' Sacramento. It's not terrible.
No,
and we do have things that we didn't have back then. We have the destination filter now. We have the upfront pricing, and we have cars that get better gas mileage, and so I just don't find complaining valuable. It doesn't enhance my life at all. I tend to focus on the positive. And if something gets negative, then I got to change the channel. I got to go find something else to do that gives me the same kind of, ancillary benefits in addition to the money.
Right. So well, would you, okay. So let's take a poll amongst all three of us. Do you think this was like a PR piece pretty much, or do you think it's going to bring some good? Because he did it in September. So now we're in April. So I know after upfront, okay, first of all, I've been through 4 rate cuts before upfront fares, and specifically anything over 6 miles is a haircut with upfront fares. There's no doubt about it. So because I put 800 on my trips on a spreadsheet, I go like, holy crap. Especially on longer trips, like 20, 30 miles, you're getting killed on both platforms, by the way. Mm-hmm. So that's 5 rate cuts, right? That's why I have a lot of the scar tissue. That's why the perception of Uber and Lyft is shit to me. Yes. Anyway. And they're not able to, with all this good PR, with all this good stuff, like all the powerful lobbies and whatever, they're not able to change the perception of themselves in the driver community. What do you think they can do to change? Like, obviously, he did something good, actually. He drove, right?
Right.
And then he got shit. the Lyft guy drives, he gets shit. I go like, what do you think they can do to change the perception of this, of their companies? I mean,
I don't think they can do much.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start messing with people's pay, you know, I mean, I was super angry. You know, I mean, I sued both of them. You know, I got in a big lawsuit with Uber and I got in a big lawsuit with Lyft, and I can't disclose what came out of it. But, you know, I was like, that's bullshit. You know, this is not right. You know, this is not what I signed up for. You can't control my life. I mean, I went full bore on all that stuff. So I get it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, you do have a choice whether you want to continue or not.
Yeah.
You know, and I've chosen to continue because of, you know, what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than just a job. You know, it's the best job I've ever had. If I could get paid, you know, $100 an hour, you know, I would be doing this full time and loving it. You know, but that's not possible. I'm going to be putting together an article to see, can you still make $100,000? So I'm going to do a day of driving in San Francisco, see what kind of per hour I can
extrapolate that to that. Oh no, you go read two of the articles. I did an article on a driver from Chicago. His name is Boti, right? And he's the highest earning Uber X driver. And it's on the blog. You can read it. And his interview is coming up. And guess what his 1099K and 1099 NEC was?
What was the total?
175.
175. The most I ever made was 133.
Yeah. So to me, look, man, it's all commensurate to your work rate. Right. This one thing that I don't like about when drivers complain is they go like, "Oh, here's my mouth, put the food in it." I'm like, no, man, you got to work, man. There is no such thing as like, you know, oh, I'm not making money. Again, it's 30. If you're making $30 an hour gross, right? And take your expenses out, 25, 24, maybe 23 net, is still 50, 80% above minimum wage, number one. Number two, you know, what should we compare this job to? Like a UPS driver, FedEx driver? I mean, we can't compare ourselves to coders at these high-tech companies. No. And we're not line cooks either. So what is the good comparison here, right? So still, it's good money if depending on your city. So don't send me the hate mail already. Depending on your city, if you know what you're doing, I think it's still decent. Reasonably decent, you know what I mean? Yes, your hours of max profitability. See, in the old days, the difference I think, Jay, is we could literally work any hour we wanted and it'll be like peak hour. Now you have to be really selective what hours, you know. Before it'd be like so much demand that the prices were so good that it doesn't matter. You open your eyes and start the car and you have a ride already, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's you're right. I have to drive early in the morning to make that. I just that time from like 3:30 in the morning until about 7:30.
Yeah.
That's my best time of the day.
Yeah.
That's where I just keep getting ride after ride after ride.
Yeah.
And you know, if I didn't do that, I couldn't make the money that I made.
You always say, do you feel like you're the only driver on the road at those hours?
Right. And there's no traffic, you know. I mean, stoplights are optional, you know. I mean, it's really at that time of the day, there's no one out there. No cars.
So I say it's a PR piece / hopefully some good will come out of it. We'll see what happens. I doubt it, but hey, man, the guy did it.
I don't know. I think it's definitely PR, but I think it's also a way to try to understand certain things, or at least, you know, figure it out. The one thing though I noticed in the article too that he was talking about was how he was surprised that not that many people tipped. So then my question to you would be, how do you get more people to tip? You have to either make it more presentable. You have to, you know, completely change that culture. Because again, before 2017 or 2018, you weren't allowed to tip on Uber through the app itself. So it geared everybody up not to tip from the app. So you got to kind of completely reverse that. And what are you going to do to make it better? Are you going to send an in-app notification? Hey, you just had your driver. Why don't you send him a tip or something? I mean, extra things like that. So, you know, you've had September, you were already in April, almost mid-April. What real changes have actually come from it? So I haven't seen anything. And like I say, the only thing when it came to the upfront earnings, you know, they were already planning on that. Did it just speed it up beforehand? Well, you know, I mean,
Well, yeah, I think upfront earnings is a rate cut without a question. Maybe at best, even on the short up to 5 mile trips, and the rest is a rate cut. They can say whatever the heck they want.
Well,
The other,
it's interesting. Yeah, I haven't taken an Uber myself in a while, and I don't really remember how the tips are presented. But everywhere I go now, I've got my phone, right? Got my phone. This is now my money, right?
yeah.
And every machine I when I go to get coffee, I swipe the machine, and then it just like pops up 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%. That's like, those are the options. And it's like a small little sliver that says no tip,
Yeah.
and that would be great if they did, maybe they do. I don't know how the tip shows up for the customer, because I haven't taken
No,
a
the
ride.
way it shows up, Jay, is that once you take a trip, right, it doesn't prompt like our tipping culture today, that just you go to Starbucks, the guy makes you coffee, gives it to you, just pop, go like, bro, it's my coffee, I'm here picking it up. I mean, come on, right? But anyway, it makes you kind of feel bad. We're going to talk about that on another segment now. But besides that, what it does is on the next trip that you order, it will say, how was Sergio? Now, there are some drivers that tip and rate you right away as a driver, right? But most of them don't even have their app on when they're driving with you in the car. They're doing some other Facebook, whatever they're doing. So on the next trip that you take, it will pop out, not a warning, but it will pop out like a notice for you saying that, oh, by the way, your last tip was with Jay. How was he as a driver, and would you like to tip? But it still doesn't give you the percentage or whatever. So that's when the passenger can rate you and tip you. That's why sometimes tips show up late, right?
Right.
And people complain, oh, they're stealing my tips. I'm like, no, bro, that's what's happening, right? So
Right. I got a tip like a week after the trip.
yeah,
Recently.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. But usually when I get tips, they come pretty quick.
Yeah.
They do come, right after I drop somebody off.
Yeah, those are the passengers that are engaged with you, and they look, man. If you're a tipper, you're a tipper. If you're not a tipper, you're not a tipper. I mean, that's how it goes. So
all right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you get notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.